Hi, this is John Chang. I'm here with Alex, who's a programmer that I've been working with. Full disclosure, he's been a client for a number of years, and I've enjoyed basically watching his progression in terms of not only speaking English and also just basically as a young programmer. So before we dive into kind of all the different things that your experience and all that kind of stuff, Alex. Maybe you can just kind of talk a little bit about, what is it that kind of gets you excited each day, the kind of things that you love doing.
Yeah, so if we talking about like programming, I'm start programming in 2000 in 2001 probably. My first from and I was always interested in like computers and things like that since my parents bought me the first IBM PC. It was
Hmm.
like Pentium 166 megahertz with 16 megabytes of RAM and one mm, 1 gigabyte of hard drive space. So
Right.
so now it's
Pretty much
like
your,
1,000 times more,
yeah.
actually, for almost any
Any,
measurement there. So
and
yeah,
probably just about any smartphone has, like, yeah, like many times that.
yeah. So yeah, and since then I'm like start like programming. I think one of my first programs was a simple calculator that I wrote using like Quick Basic, and then then it was a number of different languages that was using over the years. So
Hmm.
first it was like Quick Basic, then Pascal, Visual Basic, Delphi, um, then C++, a little bit of PHP, and but now like my main programming language is C Sharp and .NET stack in general. So yeah.
So who has kind of been influential for you, whether like in person or like that like somebody it's more like a you've read about or like what kind of people have kind of really made you even more motivated in your work and stuff.
See, so I think one of the first persons that I was that influenced me actually, uh, now when I'm like thinking about it, it was my my father's cousin,
Hmm.
who was a mathematician with a PhD, and he was a professor in Moscow State University, and he was also a programmer. Um, when I was a kid, we um, met with him a few times, and I was always like it was always interesting, like to. mm, I was always interested about like um, how he works basically, and he was mm, a smart person. So in general, it was interesting to talk to him. But because I was little, I think even though he was like influential for me in general, I didn't fully understand the stuff yet. So I think another person that also had a big influence on me was our parents' friend's son, who was interested in not maybe in programming, but in like computers in general, and
Hmm.
I was mm, mm, I think admired his like skills because for me back then, I mean, it was pretty amazing. I mean, how he, for example, set things up in Windows or do some like stuff with software there.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, oh, it's cool, and one day I would like to do something like that.
Hmm.
So I think these people, I mean, if we're talking about um, people that I know personally influenced me, and then like I think a person who wasn't like, of course, like a personal connection, but I remember I read this book um, from um, from Bill Gates. I forgot the title.
The
It
road
was
ahead,
a
maybe.
yeah, Road Ahead. Yeah, yeah, that one. And I was um, amazed. I mean, how he was talking about like his computers would be um, more and more influential in our like everyday life, and how he was talking about how they did how they developed Windows and things like that. And
Hmm.
I said, oh, it's pretty cool. I mean, the guy was just uh, quote unquote programmer, and then like he makes this one of the biggest companies in the world, and back then he was the richest guy guy on earth. I mean, like, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, like. Reading about it, and I thinking, oh, it's interesting, and like and I was always as I said, like interested in computers in general, and yeah, so I think these people, they influenced me, and also I think some other like well-known like programmers, like maybe some people who developed languages like Bjarne Strastrup, the
Hmm.
developer of like C++ and
Hmm.
guys like that. Also, the Anders Hellsberg, who was actually one of the guys who developed first successful version of Pascal compiler, and then
Hmm.
he was also developed a Delphi, who was who I working with quite a lot of time. Uh, Back then, I mean, when I was a student, and then like he was also the creator of the C sharp, the language that I'm using now. So
Hmm.
yeah, and yeah.
I think it's no coincidence that what you say kind of reminds me of the quote from science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke about any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Because certainly I know from us working together and talking stuff like that. One of your favorite book series is with the name The Wind, and so it's interesting to me how like different times like kind of when we're talking about magic and stuff. It's kind of like, it seems like the people you admire, they're kind of like in some ways their own kind of, wizards in technology and everything.
Yeah. I think so. So for me, yeah, I was always my this type of guys. I mean, who was like um, who could do some like pretty crazy like technical stuff, and yeah. So yeah, I think in some ways, as you said, it's kind of magic. I mean, like seeing uh, that like something from like just number of words and like digits combined into something that you can use on your computer, or maybe like for work, or for maybe entertainment and fun. So yeah.
So in terms of things that you can discuss, I know some of the things that the work you do for clients is like, kind of confidential and all that. But is there like a kind of a technical challenge that you face that, like you really, you know, it was kind of like something that was really, um, you know, probably beyond anything that you imagine you would face and stuff like that. And then, how did you kind of, how did you face that challenge and stuff?
Let's see. So I think, I mean, like, if you're talking about work, probably, I mean, at work, I think it's maybe like you almost always expect what you going to do, at least like most of the times. So at work, I think maybe I can remember like things that do, but in general, I think for me, for the first time when I saw something that like was beyond my expectation, actually it was not when I start like program start doing programming like professionally for money, but it was before that when I was at school, and we have this coding challenge contest, and it was like for the on the region level, I think, and they have this mm, different like coding challenges, and I started looking into them, and I thought,
Mm,
oh, it's too hard. I mean, like I just don't know, I mean, how to solve them, and it was interesting coding challenge because usually they limited by like hour or two, but
mhm.
that particular one, it was longer. We can spend like a couple of days on that, and
Okay.
I remember like that I'm thinking like probably the whole day, and then even at night. I mean, how I can solve this, and I remember like trying different ways of like solving it, and then one of the ways is they works better than the others. So yeah, and I still remember this feeling, as you said. I mean, that it was like at least at first it was like too challenging, and
Mm,
I just don't know how to do that. But but ultimately, I was able to solve enough problems there to pass to the next round, and yeah, it was pretty interesting experience. Yeah, yeah. And another one, I think it's all when I was a student, we had this we had this I think subject in our curriculum where we had this it was about like error correction codes and
mm,
things like that, and our professor he said to us that instead of like doing the exam, what we could do, we could write a program that emulate mm, the communication between like two parties,
mm,
where we have a certain amount of errors that could happen during the communication, and we have to write a program that would use this one of the code correction algorithms, and would be able to fix the errors if they occur,
mm.
and then communicate correctly with the party. And I remember it was also pretty challenging. And as sometimes students do, I started like doing it pretty close to the deadline. And at first it all went pretty smoothly, but then like it was
Uh-oh.
the final step, and I remember like everything goes well except the thing that I had a memory leak. I was writing it in C++. And I had this memory leak, and because of that, it was failing with like too many RAM
Mm.
used. Uh,
Yikes.
yeah, and I was like thinking, oh, where is it? So I was even like printing the whole source code
Oh,
on paper just to maybe trying to find this issue. And I remember like looking into it, and like I think I even fell asleep with
no,
these
no.
papers, holding these papers. And then after that, I think I was wake, waked up, and then after another like I think half an hour or hour, I
Mm.
found this issue finally. And I was remember like it was already night of the exam, so it's was night before
Mm.
exam. It's like past the midnight, and I finally found all errors, and finally my solution is passed all the tests. And it's actually one of the most efficient through all the solutions that other people submitted.
Nice.
So I was thinking, oh, cool, I solved this. And then I just went to sleep, and wake up in the morning, went to the university, and then just told my professor, oh, you saw I passed the test. And he said, oh, cool. And uh, uh, put the grade on my papers. So yeah, and it was another like example when I thought, I mean, oh, it's too hard. I mean, like finding this like memory leak.
Right.
But yeah, I was able to figure it out. Yeah, it was.
Good deal. So what would you say are like your favorite problems to work on? Like what kind of things that like do you really, thrive on for like whether technically or just kind of the the things that you really you feel like you're at your best and stuff in terms of solving.
Let's see. So in general, I think one of the uh, one of the strongest sides for me, I think, is that when to finding like ways, like maybe some ways that haven't been used in this particular project before to solve the problem.
Hmm.
Because even at projects that I worked on a lot of times, what I did, like I introduced some like new approaches and like new technologies, or maybe new programming languages that were able to solve some of the business problems. And
Hmm.
in general, after some time, they um, enhance the productivity a lot for the team, for example. Yeah, and yeah, and also I think like in general, I like this some challenging tasks that could require some like outbox thinking, where you have to do some like maybe research, or
Hmm.
do some like preparations, like maybe even if you don't know that, I mean, you can like as I said, do some research and get to know the problem better, and then like
Hmm.
find a good solution. So I think I'm pretty good at that when it's maybe something that I uh, don't know yet, or maybe I know it, but in this particular challenge, you have to use it and send some like non-standard ways.
Hmm.
So I think I'm pretty good with that, like finding these type of solutions.
Yeah, I think sometimes, as you and I talk about, creativity is really, like, what you're talking about of finding new combinations for things that have been, done, before. And other times it's kind of finding inspiration from different sources. Like in other words, maybe you're dealing with programming and the medical industry stuff, but it's a solution that has been used in, say, financial, industry. And so you're kind of taking like the lessons or the idea there and then bringing it into, just basically the problem that you're working on, but it's just from another, source at the, and
Uh,
it can even be sometimes, from something, uh, totally unrelated to work and stuff like that. So speaking of which, what do you like to do when you're not working and stuff? What kind of things that, yeah, you
so
find?
I'm pretty interested in music, so I'm playing guitar myself. Not on a professional level. It's a hobby, but I'm really enjoyed. And also, I'm I really like to read, especially if I am able to find a good book,
Mm,
fiction or non-fiction. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's one of like my favorite hobbies. So yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks, Alex. It was great to have a chat with you, and give
Thank you, John,
folks a
for having
chance to
me.
learn a little bit about you. Yeah. So, if folks want to connect with you, what's like the best way to kind of reach you and stuff, in whether it's social media or kind of
Mm,
website or.
so let's see. I think probably the best way to reach me it's actually email.
Okay.
So yeah, and because like in social media, it's I think more like I think they're more like personal but with email, it's usually like more like work related,
Okay.
and also maybe like my LinkedIn profile
Okay.
they could use.
Yeah.
So
So we'll provide links for those, to folks who are interested. Yeah. So once again, I'm John Chang with Alex here, and yeah, definitely, we'll look forward to hearing more about your future successes in programming.
yeah, thank you, John. It was nice to meet and talk about this. So yeah.